everyone. Welcome to Rediscovering Me podcast. It's your girl, Nakia P. For those of you who are new here, welcome. This podcast is all about rediscovering yourself, healing within, facing yourself, and so that you can live your most authentic life. Okay. On this episode today, I will be discussing the importance of mental health. I have a very special guest with me today, Ajreain Nickole. She is a mental health advocate as well as the founder of You Are Not Alone 7. Okay. So we're going to bring her up. We're going to discuss the importance of mental health and how she is advocating, what she is doing. And I'm super excited for you to hear her conversation because she is doing amazing things in the mental health community. Okay. So, what we're going to do is bring Adrian on. Let's see. We're going to bring Adrian on and we're going to get going. Hey, love. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me again. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
no problem. I love what you're doing. I love what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
So, absolutely. So, before we get all deep into mental health and everything, go ahead and tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so again, my name is Adriana Nicole, and I have a nonprofit called You Are Not Alone 7. And what I do, I provide resources for individuals. I like to tell every time I talk about mental health, I like to let everyone know that I'm not clinical. I don't diagnose anyone. I'm just an advocate for mental health. And if anyone need any assistance or reach out to me, they don't. They're not obligated to tell me what's happening. They can just say, I need help. And then I do the footwork with finding what they're needing. It's counseling, yoga, uh, meditation, classes, whatever that's needed. I do the footwork for them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, let's get into it. You ready? Let's get
I'm
into
ready, girl.
it. All right. So, when it comes to mental health, of course, we know that this is something that is greatly stigmatized, especially in our community. We don't necessarily, we're getting better, but sometimes within our community, mental health is not something that's, spoken on enough. Growing up, that's not something we were taught about. We had limited resources and limited access to these things. So, for you, can you share a bit about your personal journey with mental health and why you decided to become an advocate?
Yeah, so a few years ago, life be lifing. Um, I didn't know the difference between being sad and being depressed. So it took my community of friends to help me in the right direction. Um, Once I spoke with my primary care doctor, because I was losing weight, I wasn't eating, and I just wasn't in the mood to do anything. She diagnosed me. She said, "Adrian, you're not only depressed, but you're severely depressed to the point where we may have to consider admitting you to the hospital just for evaluation." And even though I work at a hospital, I'm not big on. I want to figure it out or find other ways to
Right.
cope. And so,
Right.
I suffer with depression and also anxiety. So depression is something I was able to kind of overcome, but I still deal with anxiety to this day and learning how to deal with it, but also understanding what triggers it. Maybe a scent that reminds me of someone, or if I hear a voice that reminds me of someone that triggers me. So with that, because I was able to overcome and still overcoming, it's not something that you just like, okay, I'm no longer depressed ever again. It's, life happens, and I feel as though once it happens to you, you still have that soft spot, like, anything can trigger you.
Right.
Just being able to kind of move forward and to overcome just like suicidal thoughts,
Mhm.
something like that. I'm able to talk about it and tell people I've been there, and to educate them and to help them in the right direction of healing.
Absolutely. And I love that you share that because I also deal with depression and anxiety. And like you said, life be lifing. It happens. And for me, one of the things that I had to deal with is I did not want a label. And I think that's really big for a lot of us. When I first started, I did not want something stamped on a piece of paper to tell me how I'm acting, what I'm
Right.
dealing with. And so sometimes we do like to figure it out, like you said. We do like to, find our own remedies or try to make it work within our own resources and availability. However, sometimes that's not the case. And it was also something
That's
that I
true.
had to learn as well, that we do need that outside help, that we may need therapy, we may need counseling. And sometimes it's a big cliff to kind of just land down on just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand that, and I'm glad that you said that. Now, because you deal with depression and anxiety, are there any other specific mental health issues that you are most passionate about?
I haven't tapped into anything other than that because I only talk about what I've experienced. I can't, if someone, for example, will come to me and say, Adrian, I'm suffering with schizophrenia, let's just say that.
Right.
I never experienced it. I can still provide resources, but it's not something that I can't relate because I've
Mhm.
never experienced that side before.
Right.
But I just stay within my realm,
Understood.
so I don't want to make matters worse. Sometimes if you don't know anything about it and someone is, coming to you, I can just do what I'm capable of doing, which is providing resources. So I stay within a depression and anxiety. That's just where I kind of stay with them.
Okay, absolutely. That's understandable. Now that you've become an advocate, and you shared your passion for that and why you are, what have been some challenges that you have encountered with being an advocate and also trying to maintain your own mental health as well?
I've run across a few challenges. I was very surprised about the negative comments um, that I've received, and they were heavy. And at first, I was like, okay, maybe I should just pull back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did for a while, and I realized pulling back, someone like me is needing help. Maybe it's not helping everyone with all these negative comments, but it may be one person that's like, I needed that. I needed that post or I needed that reference where she provided information. So a lot of my challenges came from negative comments. So people like, we don't want to see that, or why are you posting that? Or, we ain't got time for stuff like that. I'm like, well, and I let that get to me. But I'm like, no, I'm not doing that because
Right.
still hear on the news people committing suicide due to depression. You
Yes.
still hear that. And I'm like, I'm not I don't care at this point if 100 people are not interested in what I'm saying. I'm not interested if no one likes my post anymore. There's someone that needs help. And so I ran up into like a lot of negative comments about it, but that I'm so passionate
Right.
about that because at one point I needed help
Right.
and I was in bad shape.
Right, absolutely. And for those of us that understand that, we've been in that situation, so we totally understand, how deep it can be.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, I can say they may not have been to that point where you have
Right.
been or where I have been. So in their minds, they may not be able to fully understand the passion that you have for this because they haven't been there. You know,
Right.
I hear a lot of people talk about, different experiences that they have. And, I've had some people to say, well, hey, I wasn't that depressed. It ain't that
I've
serious.
heard that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, for you, sweetheart, maybe it
Right.
wasn't that deep for you.
Right.
Um, but we have to understand that we all encounter situations differently. It can be the same field of experience, but how we relate to it and how we take it can be completely different. And just because we have, severe depression or high anxiety doesn't mean that we're worse than anyone else. It just
Right.
means because of my life and what I've already experienced, this is where I'm at, and that's okay. It's
Right.
okay to be there. It's okay to experience that. So I think that that is, completely understandable about, the negativity that you've received, and why you are so passionate and how you are able to do what it is that you do. Now, for our community, I know that there may have been some negativity in that as well.
Yes.
But what do you do in your nonprofit and as far as your personal life to help reduce the stigma of mental health within our Black community?
Something that we're doing now is talking about it.
Hmm.
I think as we continue to talk about it, people will feel less ashamed because they'll see people, they were like, that person, Kia, looks like me, or Adrian looks like me, or I'm dealing with the same thing. If we continue to talk about it and not being affected about the outsiders, the people who never related,
Right.
it will continue to end the stigma, you
Hmm.
know. And what I'm doing is just posting, putting up motivational stuff. I like to keep things neutral because some people may not like certain things. I just try to make sure I just encourage everyone, and just, if people reach out to me through my messengers or text message me, I always contact and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you? Just reaching out. And so I think that makes an impact because you never know. People could be posting that they're happy on social media,
Hmm.
but the moment they post and they turn off their Facebook, they're depressed.
Yeah.
Their whole world is feel like it's falling apart. So talking about it, getting out in a community is what I'm doing, because mental health is a major thing. So we just have to continue talking about it.
Absolutely. And the conversations are definitely needed. We need to see more people that look like us
Absolutely.
say, hey, I've been here. I'm
Yeah.
also dealing with this. And be able to be vulnerable enough to speak on it so that others can heal, and
Absolutely.
that's one of the most important things that I love about your journey. We've known each other for a bit, for a good
Yes.
little while, college and all.
Yes.
And so within that, I love to be able to sit back and say, wow, Adrian is doing beautiful things. Like this, her journey has been absolutely amazing, seeing what you're doing, the nonprofit, you speaking on these issues. And I'm inspired by you because I'm like, woo, she could talk on some things that sometimes I'm like, girl, maybe we need to keep quiet. But I love that about you. I love that you're doing that and that you're so passionate about that.
Yes, because
I,
mental health is nothing beautiful about it.
right.
It's raw, and I feel as though I'm just putting myself out there, be transparent, because
Mhm.
nothing is beautiful about depression. It's ugly and it's raw and it's cold, and I just rather be that example, putting myself out there. So
Absolutely. And you are definitely the example. You are definitely, doing that, providing the resources. And, your nonprofit, just the title within itself, You Are Not Alone 7, it allows people to know, like, hey, somebody out
yeah,
there understands that you've gone through this or that you're dealing with this. And we can relate to that and we can provide resources and information to assist you. So I love that. Now, with your nonprofit, can you share some projects or initiatives that you all are doing within your organization as far as anything futuristic or in the past that you've done that you are providing information?
so right now, as I'm learning about mental health, what I'm learning is mental health is more than just childhood trauma or past relationship things. People are dealing with depression after this pandemic. People have lost jobs, lost homes, so on and so forth. So right now, what I'm doing is doing like drives, like clothing drives,
Mhm.
to help people that's less fortunate, because people can become depressed, during this time. So that's what we're doing now. We're more focused on giving back to the community. And with every time we donate, give to the community, we provide resources
Mhm.
to help them. So that's what we're doing, just kind of putting them two together and not being like in a closed in box as far as just, just childhood trauma or, anything like that. Is bigger than that. So right now we're doing drives. doing, more community service, and that's what we're doing as of right now. So I'm planning for next year. I don't have anything as of yet, but we just finished doing a drive yesterday, actually, which was a
Okay.
great success. We sponsored a family
Hmm.
with children and just giving back to less, people that is less fortunate. And so that's what we're doing now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, with all of that, you're working, you're doing this, you're advocating for mental health. Share with us because I know some people watching this would be like, she's doing some amazing things. She's giving back to the community. She's providing resources. She has a nonprofit, like business owner, non just you're doing it. How do you do that and still take time for your self-care and your own, well-being? How are you able to prioritize that?
Yes. So I take one day off and I do nothing.
Hmm.
So I do have a lot on my plate because I'm back in college now. So
Okay,
I'm back in school.
good.
And so now it's like I purposely take one day off and I do absolutely nothing. So I may, go to a pool or I may go to a park or may take myself out on, like a solo date. I
Hmm.
always find a day just for me, even if it's just sitting at home. Um, or take like, a bubble bath. I kind of just do like a self-care day to
Okay.
digress from everything that's around me. So I think that's very beneficial is whenever you have a lot going on, you have to prioritize
Hmm.
what's going on because I could easily lose myself with working full time in the ER, going back to school, hosting drives, speaking on engagements,
Hmm.
doing this and doing that. I can easily just, my anxiety could run up. But I do understand, and I also listen to my body. If I need 2 days off, Adrian's going to take 2 days off. Or if
Hmm.
I'm not going to do nothing for 3 days, I'm going to listen to my body because that's what's most important.
Right.
I can't help someone else when I'm depleted, when I have nothing.
And that's
So,
good. And I like that you said that. And even when you said you listen to your body, you was like, hey, if I need 2 days off or if I don't need to do nothing for 3 days, then I ain't gonna do it. How do
right.
you keep yourself from feeling guilty about that? Because a lot of us deal with
Hmm,
that. We deal with
that's a
that.
good
Like we
question.
be like,
That's a
hey, I
good
need some
one.
self-care time. But then sometimes we also deal with those background thoughts like, girl, you were supposed to do X, Y, and Z. You're
Yeah,
supposed to get this done. How do you personally deal with that?
that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that before. um, I believe you have to be selfish for yourself.
And that's
You
good.
you have to be selfish.
Hmm.
And like I said, because I can't help anyone when I'm out of gas,
Right.
so there's times where I feel guilty because it was something I needed to do. It was like a drive a couple months ago, and I
Hmm.
I didn't send the clothes out as soon as I wanted to, but I was like, you know what? It's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
It's
They're
okay.
gonna they're gonna get what they need when when it's time. But you have to do that. You have to be like, okay, it's okay.
Hmm.
I've learned that. Like it's no rush. Everything is okay. But I have to be selfish for me,
Right.
So that's how I think about it.
And that's good. I like that. We gotta be selfish with
Yeah.
ourselves. We just gotta be like, no, I can't. Not today.
Right.
Tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow look like.
Right.
Because I know with me personally, and this is something that I'm also dealing with my therapy and counseling, is that sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I be feeling guilty. Sometimes I just be like, no, I can't, I can't do. For
Yeah.
example, we were supposed to meet the other week, and I was just like, I got this and this is going on, and I felt guilty. I was like, girl, you got this going on, you got this, you got a deadline for this, you got a deadline for that. And sometimes in our minds, well, I can speak for me. Sometimes in my mind, I'd be like, this is your title, this is what you're supposed to do, entrepreneur, you're a podcaster, you got to get that podcast out. And sometimes when it doesn't happen, I'd be like, girl, what you doing? What you doing? But then on the flip side, from hearing what you're saying, we have to be like, it's okay.
Mhm.
It's okay. I needed, my body needed that break.
Yeah.
My mind mentally needed that break. And so if we do have to take days off and just throw our hands up and be like, I'm just going to be lazy for today, then
Mhm.
that is okay. We are entitled and we're able to do that. There's nobody
Absolutely.
saying that we don't have to do that. Taking care of self is priority. Okay. So, with everything that you got going on, everything, because
Yes.
you're also our cover feature. So we will also have you on front of the magazine and also doing a cover feature, a spread for you concerning your organization and everything that you have going on. What could you tell someone if they were interested in becoming an advocate for mental health?
I would first say make sure you're in that space. Make sure you're healed.
Mhm.
And I have to say that because when I first started, it was a challenge because I was new and I
Right.
was just going with my gut.
Mhm.
And the stories that I heard, I had went to it was something I was at. It was like an event. And the stories that people was telling me, I was not prepared.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, let me talk to my counselor a little bit to make sure that I'm emotionally and mentally prepared for
Right.
that. So I would say if someone is interested in being an advocate, I say go for it, but
Mhm.
always have someone that could assist you along the way. Make sure you have a counselor because some people want to tell you things that you're not prepared for.
Mhm.
People may ask you questions that you may not be prepared to answer. Um, just make sure you're in a place for it.
Right.
Because if you're still battling with like depression or anxiety, then you have someone else telling you about their depression, it kind of feeds off to you. And now it's like, now you're burdened now with healing you and other people's, you know, prop issues,
Right.
So make sure you're in a space first.
Okay.
But I say go for it, but take care of yourself first
That's good.
and then continue.
Yeah, that's good. Making sure that you have the capacity to be able to hold not only yourself but also others when you're advocating, and that's very important. I love that. So, Adrian, listen, I always enjoy talking to you. We've been going, doing this for a while because I love your journey. I absolutely love your journey. You have been such an inspiration, such a, an encouragement to me as I deal with, my own mental health. Seeing you walk boldly in this has been absolutely amazing. And I'm so proud of you. I am so happy for you. And I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing. Don't
Thank
stop, keep going, keep pushing, keep using your story to help others because you're doing it, girl. You are doing
thank
it.
you. So are you.
I appreciate it though.
We're getting it done.
We're getting it done. We
We're
are
getting it
getting
done.
it done. We are getting done. So,
Yeah.
the last thing I wanted to ask you is, how can someone, that's listening now, if they feel like they're in a rut or they need some assistance, how can they reach out to you and your organization to get resources?
Yes. So you can go on my Facebook page, which is You Are Not Alone slash Facebook. I believe that's what it is.
Hmm.
You go on my Facebook page and I post resources and I try not to like drown people with like resources. I try to
Right.
like mix it in with like inspirational stuff or motivational quotes or what I have going on. They
Okay.
can reach out to me on Facebook on You Are Not Alone 7 and you will see me there. And that's where you can get all my information.
Okay, and we will make sure that we post it in the comments
Yes.
below. So thank you so much, Adrian. Again, you're amazing, girl. You are
Thank you.
amazing. It's been beautiful watching all of this unfold with you. Seeing everything that you're doing, and I just want to say thank you for being an amazing friend, for being, an amazing person that we can look up to and get that encouragement and empowerment from. So thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. So listen, everyone, make sure that you go to You Are Not Alone 7 on Facebook. Make sure that you contact Ajreain Nickole. Also, make sure that you tune in to Healing the Goddess Within magazine because she is also our cover feature. And we will be talking more in depth on mental illness, mental health, how to maintain your mental health awareness, how to be aware of where you are. We will dive deep into that. So I want to make sure that y'all stay connected with us on that page as well. And we will see y'all again soon. I ain't gonna say next Tuesday, but soon. We will see you again soon. So thank you, everyone. Again, Adrian, thank you, love. I greatly appreciate it. And everyone, y'all take care. It's been your girl, Nikia P. Have a good one.